Alright, time to get this show on the road. This is Winter War, and I've got the fins showing now. You can see they got big units under pretty much everything here. This one's not so big. And well, I guess we're ready to kick this off. In the sequence of play, the Russians go first. Now, I don't think I'm going to be able to show you movement as I play. Maybe if I had a tripod set up and put some clothing on or something. But it's, you know, it's pretty much a standard war game here, except with these very tiny movement allowances. And it's going to be kind of boring because I've got to do a lot of number crunching to see if the attacks work out or whatever. Because the setup didn't involve figuring that out for the Russians. They had to kind of set up a little blind. Now I have to see if I can get the numbers and get the supply. And I'll come back and show you what they do. So I've launched some attacks in the north where the Finns aren't terribly well defended. They don't have the fortification lines, and they don't have as many units. And the Russians have a real advantage in those locations, which I determined and see that that's where the edge is. But here I didn't have enough forces. Well, this is kind of painful. I think I overplayed for this. I don't think I can get this many down here. The problem is I need a bigger unit to attack even here at more than 1-to-1. I can't get 2-to-1 on there. I don't have enough 6-point units. I've used too many of them in the north. So I shifted one of these big core up with the intention to use it. I tried to shift 2, but I realized I won't have enough supply. Let me make sure I do anyway. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 20, 22, 26, 32, 37, 39, 59. I'm still over. I've got to get more units out of there. I've got to get them into range of this headquarters. So I'm going to have to move a few more units out of the line. I was at 59, so 1, 2, that's only 4. That's 8. I got to get one more strength point off the line, and these can just go down wherever I need. I'll take this one. 1, 2. I think that's in range of the headquarters. 1, 2. No, not quite. See, this is a problem. I probably couldn't have moved these others either. I can reach to there. Okay, that'll work. Just get the headquarters out of the way. That'll help. One way or another, I could have done it. It's just especially with the headquarters there, but I probably cheated a little bit. Oh well. All right, let's roll some of these attacks and see what we've got here. There's nothing too exciting. Here we got a defense of 4, and I've got 8 against it, so that's just a 2-to-1. It's 4, it's doubled because of the town. 2-to-1, no effect. 4-to-1 here. Well, I'm kind of doing these separately, and I shouldn't. I don't want to fight there. I want to withdraw, so the Soviets will push forward. Likewise here, I don't want to fight in the swamp. There's no real advantage to that. So I got to pull back. I'll pull back to here and get them there. And here, 8-to-2, 4-to-1. That does not sound good for me either. So again, I'll withdraw from combat and let the Soviets push forward. Here, well, I don't have the withdrawal option here, but I do here. Now if I do here, and I withdraw, I allow this unit into the attack, so I don't want to withdraw there. So I've got a 2-to-1 attack there, and another 2-to-1 in the other one. The first 2-to-1 is going to be an exchange. And how does that actually work? Defender removes all, attacker removes as many as the defender lost in defense strength points. Great. Now remember, there's no advance, so that space is still open. But I got a 2-to-1 attack on the other one, and that's a big 6. That's a defender eliminated. Alright, and those will get bagged in a moment. The big thing is, these lines are just really tough to hit. The best I can get is kind of 1-to-1s against them. I don't want to take those risks. Those aren't good odds in this game. So now, we go over to the second player, and I get to try to move the Finns and react a little bit. Part of the idea here is I'm going to get a decent amount of Finnish reinforcements. So, to some extent, I can afford to give up some ground early on. In fact, I can probably afford to give up pretty much everything north of the line if I really want to. And I'd rather make it a little tougher on the Russians where I can. Okay. Okay, I kind of lied. I said the ski troops don't have a zone of control. It's not true. The ski troops and the 113s don't have a zone of control when they're in Russia, but they do in Finland. I was worried that, well, those 113s don't have a zone, I can slip right by them. That's not the case. But I got to do something to prevent this overrun from turning the flank here, so I'll probably be committing more units up there. And the Finns have completed their movement. Remember, they don't have to actually attack, so they can kind of place themselves in the way of the Russians. Now the question is, what's more in the way? Being right up against them doesn't project the same sort of control area as being a little back, I think. Make sure. Yeah, because you can move out of zones of control in this game. I don't know how much it provides either way. It just feels more flexible being a little further back. Alright, well now we're at kind of that interesting end phase. And here, with the option, first we roll for our Finns. And that's going to be on this table here. And we roll on the turn. A D is what they're looking for, perhaps. They don't get that. What would a D have done? Better Soviet mobilization. That doesn't sound good. And now the Russians have the potential of an event as well. And on turns 1 through 4, they have this event chart. 6, they get an H. And H is increased Soviet logistics. The supply capacity in Petrozavsk is up to 90. Wow. Alright, well, I'm going to have to get a counter there, but that's going to reduce some of my burden where I had to move units off there. Now I can get some more on there and really make that attack more effective. Alright, well, I guess we move into turn 2 now. And I've added some illegible scrawl to this little piece of paper to help remind me of that. Because, you know, if I was playing just straight through, that would be trivial, but the way I like to play things, especially solitaire, it's just not going to happen easily. Okay, so here we are, Winter War still, and with the 90-point situation here, I've been able to push more of those heavy units into play. I think I'm going to be able to crack the line here without too much trouble. That means I'm putting lighter forces here. Now there's some danger that the Finns can come out because this is getting pretty weak. However, I do have some reserves back here. And I can't really put them in here. I've got most of my points here. So the question then becomes, well, can I shift something up? And I think the answer to that is yes. I'm going to drop this 1, 2, 3. Make sure I've got a I don't have too many points here. I've got 12. Ooh, 13, 14. No, I can't do that there. I could run it out of here, but that may not work so well. Can't stack that with that. So I'll pull the headquarters back one and drop up there. I'm just trying to get a little bit more oomph into those northern attacks to get control there. I'm not planning on breaking the Mannerheim line itself. I'm not going to actually roll the dice in front of you. You've seen how the combat table works. I'll come back after the retreats and after I roll the dice. So there was a bad effect up here in the north for the Russians. They had to retreat, and that has pushed this unit. The only retreat place it could have and save this unit was to here. It puts it kind of isolated at this point. It's not a huge penalty to being isolated in this kind of condition. But if the Finns could manage an attack, and maybe they can, they've got reinforcements coming in, maybe they can wipe that unit out and strengthen their position up here. Their position up there isn't totally vital, though. These areas are more important, and we had one Finnish unit destroyed up here. The other one held off with no effect. Over here, well, one retreated before combat, the other retreated after combat. Here there was no effect. Even with 3 to 1, there's a couple no effect spaces up here, 1 through 3, and then the other results are only exchanges, so the Russians are going to have to take losses to take that hex. They just can't get enough force in there. They're going to lose a decent-sized unit, a 6-point unit. That's the best they can do at this point. Try to see if we can come around the corner and hit this side too, but you know, getting into these spaces, you have to attack too many Finnish units. Alright, well, let's move on to the Finns. The Finnish reaction was brutal. First of all, moving forward across the front with some of their reinforcements, they've got a good shot at taking Leningrad, and that's just the game right there if they take it. They also slipped some of their ski units into place and their other units to really cut off all these invasion forces. Over here it's not so obvious, and then slipped another unit up here to get a quick 2 to 1 up there. So this could be over very quickly for the Russians. We'll see. Well, the Russians did not lose outright. Leningrad didn't fall, but they lost the units here. They lost the unit here. Another attack was made, I don't know quite where. They had a 2 to 1 attack up here because the Finnish town doesn't help them, and they had zones around everything. This guy doesn't project a zone, but these guys do. So they managed to wipe out a small stack of weaker Russian units. Now we're going to go to the event phase, and there we get to see whether there's a scenario in play yet. On turn 2, there are more options here. 6, it's scenario E, German threat. Relations between Russia and Germany break down. The Soviet player receives none of the 2012 twos due to him during reinforcements for the rest of the game. Ouch. So these guys come off his box. Alright, Russia's in trouble here. He must also remove 12 strength points from the map from among his existing units. The Allies send 3 322s to Finland's aid. They may either be landed in Petsamo, in which case follow the applicable scenario A rules for landing, which we have to look up, or they may cross into Finland from Sweden, follow scenario B. The Finnish player chooses his option. However, the Allies, if landing at Petsamo, must invade if a Soviet Union occupies Petsamo. That's not the case. Scenario cannot be cancelled. Increase the Soviet victory points to 50 for capturing Petsamo, and add 10 to the value of each positive objective he captures, except the 5 victory points he receives for each hex captured in the row west of Viipuri. Ooh, I didn't know about this. 5 for... Oh, that's this line, yeah. So you get that whole line. And I've seen the Finns collapse there. Well, right now it looks like the Russians are in a lot of trouble. I'll look at those scenarios and come back with what my options are, because I don't want to read both of these in front of you. Okay, so no matter what, Petsamo becomes important here. So it's vital for the Allies to land here as far as I'm concerned. They're allowed to overstack for this moment and for the Russian turn, and then begin an attack into the Murmansk area. We haven't checked for... The other option was to come in here, but it still boosts those victory points. Pretty much an option if the Russians have already taken Petsamo. So now we check for the Russian possible event. That is the only scenario event that can happen. We're done with those, and I can put the rest of the Allied units away, I think. Okay, but for the Russians, around turn 2, which is the same as before, 3, no advantage. Okay, well, I thought the Russians had an overwhelming advantage from this, but we see, wham, losing Leningrad is, now really at risk, and the Russian victory chances for Petsamo and every other location have gone up significantly. So really what they have to do is arrange to hold Leningrad, not to lose whatever this thing is, which is only worth 10, and try to win up in the north. Different game than what was looking to have been the case before. All right, well, we're moving to turn 3. And I'll put the die there, and I'll load this one up.